Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 32. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Roots. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm in Vegas, just visiting my friends, and there's a lot of activity behind me. So,
That's a lot of people there.
yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that they're all still there because that's what they say. When something's in Vegas, it stays in Vegas,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. They're never going anywhere.
Forever.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they do it, but those brave souls. I'd like to visit, but I kind of have to come home at some point. So I guess I'll never get to go to Vegas.
Yeah, you gotta stay away.
Anyway, enough nonsense. Let's talk VR, as we always do, and let's start off by talking a little bit about Vader Immortal. Vader Immortal. It wasn't long ago that we were just reviewing part two of this. Was it,
I think it
Roots?
was like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, maybe the
Something
most.
like that. So, like the original one, again, Vader Immortal. This is I, ILMX Labs VR Star Wars experience, basically designed for Oculus Quest, but it's also released for the Rift. We got episode one of it. It's an episodic, story driven thing. We got episode one with the launch of the Quest back in May. So, fast forward, what, 4 months from the first one, episode two comes out. Kind of a surprise. It was announced at OC6. The moment they announced it, it was released. It was a surprise launch. And so we were thinking, maybe episode three might come next year sometime in the early part, maybe spring next year, uh, January, if they want to hold to their timing. And we found out this past week that Vader Immortal episode 3 is coming in just a couple weeks' time on November the 21st. So, first of all, you surprised? You surprised it's coming out so soon after the other one?
Uh, yes and no. I mean, it makes sense marketing wise, right? Like with Christmas coming and um, Black Friday, we were just talking about that. So maybe they'll do like a special quest that comes with the full all three episodes in. I don't know. I just think that it's a good time to have new games coming out for your platform, especially something as big as Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right there. I think it's from a marketing perspective, it's perfect timing because they're getting it out there exactly 1 week before Black Friday. So before everyone spends their bank accounts into negative territory, they're putting this game out there, which is the finale. It is the conclusion to the story. While people still have money in their pockets, and then comes the week after when supposedly you would expect a lot of people to be buying Oculus Quest, maybe even as many as bought it for the launch. Maybe even more people will buy it now that it's developed this hype over the last 6 months. Maybe even more people buy it for the holidays than bought it for the launch. So it's a perfect time to put it out there to complete it. Maybe they do what you're saying here. Maybe they'll release it as a complete series.
I
Um,
guarantee it'll do better now, sale wise, than at launch, just because VR is more known in the last 6 months. It's starting to go mainstream. It's been on Jimmy Fallon and a lot of different commercials, and people know about Beat Saber. And um, it's one of those things where when the Quest came out, mostly it was us, all the enthusiasts that bought it, and then you pepper in the people that, were seeing something new come out. But now it's been out enough where uh, I think it's going to do very well. And then you couple that with all the software that just keeps coming out, game after game after game. They've actually got a pretty good library now where you could justify it and say, wow, I want to get the Quest, and they've got some good games now. So
yeah, yeah, and this one is probably the one that's most well known for being the must-have Quest title. You know, there's lots of stuff out on Quest now, a lot of PC ports that have come out. But when you start thinking about things that are Quest exclusive, there aren't really any technically that are exclusives. Everything that comes out on Quest gets ported into Rift, but there is this group of games that you think of as Quest games, even though you can get them on Rift. Games like Journey of the Gods, games like Shadow Point, Face Your Fears 2, and Star Wars Vader Immortal. In my mind, these are Quest games. And among those, this one is A number one. This is the chief. This is the one that you must own. So let's think back. Let's think back just a few weeks ago to when we were reviewing the second one. We wondered aloud a couple of things. One, we were wondering, because the last one was so short, you know, as good as it was short, and it was $10, just like the first one. We were wondering, are they going to draw this out? Is this going to be something that we end up paying $60, $80, $100 for by the time it's all said and done, for what is the equivalent of a normal length game when you put it all together? We found out that shortly thereafter that the third installment would be the final installment, but it looks here from what they're saying, Roots, that this one's going to have a little more substance than the last one, and that is music to my ears. What did you think about that when you heard them say it?
Yeah, because at the end of the last one, we were kind of wondering how they were going to make another one and end it. You know, like it just didn't seem like there was, I don't know, it just didn't seem like there was going to be enough there for it. So I don't know. I'm kind of glad that they are they're taking into consideration that people wanted a little bit more. It's going to put it close to 2.5 to 3 hours for the entire thing, which I think is worth $30 in my opinion. So
Yeah, when you're talking about like a standard indie dev, you know, jank fest, then $30 for a couple hours is not at all worth it. And so many of the games in the early life of VR have been that. So people still have that kind of mindset when it comes to value and price. But when we're talking about something like this that's Star Wars branded, and not only is it Star Wars branded, but this thing absolutely 100% lives up to the quality standards that the franchise has set. It tells a good story. It plays like a movie. You know, a lot of good high quality VR games have cinema scenes in them. Well, you're in the scenes. I mean, basically, as far as what it looks and sounds like, it's no different between cutscenes and gameplay. It's all the same characters. It's just all very high quality and all very well done. So to think that you have the opportunity to be the star, the lead character in a Star Wars movie, and basically do it for a little bit more than what you would pay for a Blu-ray, I think it's a pretty good deal all in all.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, you know, people will complain it's $30, but they'll go spend $30 on a Blu-ray movie, and we don't even watch those more than once usually. Most people anyway, if they're honest with themselves. And this, you get to actually be in the movie and interact, and it's other people as well. So and the dojo, which is what we got here, is worth it just in and of itself. This second one is amazing, and the third one's supposed to incorporate even more stuff like blasters, and you know, so it's going to be worth $30. I guarantee it, in my opinion anyway.
Yeah, if they end this thing the way that I'm thinking that they're going to, then the entire package for $30 is absolutely going to be worth it. And that said, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't bundle them all for like 25. Well, I guess let's back up a little bit here. First of all, they haven't announced the price of the third installment. We're assuming that it's going to be $10. What if it's a little bit longer, a little bit more content, but they charge 15 instead of 10? Is that acceptable to you?
Well, I hope they run it by me first, but no, I don't know. That's weird, right? What if it was $15? I feel like that would be weird to me. It'd be like 10, 10, 15, or even 10, 10, 20, you
What
know?
if it's like an hour long instead of 35 minutes like the last one?
Yeah, I think it still should be $10, but I don't know. It seems that would be weird to me. I think it should be $10, but you're right. We are assuming, right?
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what we're not assuming, and then that is that the scale of the game is going to be a little bit more than the last one. And I'm not just talking in terms of the length of the story, but I'm talking about they've expanded the possibilities of the gameplay itself. And I'll just give you what they've said about it here really quick. Um, it says this third one is described as a slightly longer episode after the second one has taken criticism for its short runtime. In addition to the ancient lightsaber and force powers that we've acquired in the previous episodes, which was one ability per episode. The first episode we got the lightsaber, the second one we got force powers. In addition to those powers, you're going to be able to grab and use blasters that are dropped by the stormtroopers. You're going to be able to fight air to air on skiffs and start a battle in Vader's castle between the marching horde droid army and the Imperial battalion stationed on Mustafar. So, what I'm picturing in my head here is all out war on Mustafar between droids and stormtroopers, and you're going to be able to participate not only with your lightsaber and your force abilities, but when you take out a stormtrooper, you're going to be able to use your force to pick up their weapon, start blasting. It seems like you're going to have a little bit more freedom here during this all-out, mania that is the battle of Mustafar. Roots, this sounds freaking epic to me as a Star Wars fan. But again, I'm a fanboy. What is it? What are you making of this? Does it sound as cool to you as it does to me?
Air to air skiff fights. Hell yeah, dude. That sounds real fun. Everything about it sounds actually really cool. It sounds like we're going to be in a really amazing Star Wars scene, a battle. And it makes me, as I always do, wonder when we're going to have our first legit Star Wars game in VR, like multiplayer even. All the games that we've played, all the Jedi games, picture one. There's one coming out, I think, this month. Flat game, third person one. Alex and I were talking about on Discord, and I just think we're closer than we think, and I'm excited to see this experience, see what they're going to do in the future. So.
Well, if anything we've learned over the last year and with what has happened in VR games, it's now been proven that not only are our devices capable of producing the level of quality that would be needed to make a Star Wars game for VR, but Asgard's Wrath is showing that you can price it appropriately and people will buy it without complaining. People will drop down the money for something that's worth it. And even with like the Quest, I mean, look at this game. It still blows my mind that you can play something that's this level of quality basically running on a cell phone processor, a complete standalone device. Every time I think about Vader Immortal, it just blows my mind that the technology has advanced as far as it has.
Yeah, it's gotten really crazy, and I can't wait to see what it looks like with the link. So.
With the link, yeah, me too. I can't wait. I've already put my Rift S up for sale.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of that trash, dude. It's out of here.
I already know the Oculus Link is going to be awesome. I don't have to try it.
Yeah.
Upload VR said it was good, so
it's got to be good. It's got to be better in every way. So I'm going to get rid of it for sure. Rift S.
All right, I guess we've kind of segued into a different topic here that I was saving for the end of the show. But you said it. They're bringing this out now for Black Friday, and the idea is that a lot of people are going to be buying Quest on Black Friday, especially now that they've announced finger tracking and they've announced Oculus Link. So what does that mean for Oculus Rift S? They're just giving up on it, right? Well, apparently they're trying to get these in a few hands as well because Lenovo just a couple of days ago uh, released their Black Friday sale ad, and it revealed that Oculus Rift S will be on sale for $50 off at $350. And rest assured, this isn't just Lenovo getting an exclusive deal because they manufacture the headset. If they're selling it for $350, then Best Buy is going to sell it for $350. Oculus is going to sell it for $350. The Microsoft Store is going to sell it for $350. These things are going on sale cheap, and it's the first thing that I said when they started pumping the Quest up during OC6 is that we're going to see a price cut on the Rift S soon. So the choice between Rift and Quest might not be quite as cut and dry as everybody once thought. Roots, let's assume that Oculus Link is going to be legit. Okay, this is going to be a very capable PC VR device. Do you think that they're going to put Quest on sale the same way they're doing Rift? Because we don't know that the Quest isn't on sale. All we know is that the Rift S is. Do you think they're going to mark everything down to 350, or you think it's just on the Rift?
I think it'd be smart. I think still trying to get people into to VR. It's the first Christmas that the Quest has been out. It's at its biggest thing is probably going to be, and it just would make it a little bit more enticing.
Yeah. Do you think they're cutting the price of the Rift S as a means to keep it relevant versus the Quest, or do you think that that they're just beginning the process of sell down, and in a year from now that they're not even going to be selling new Rift S's anymore?
I don't know. I don't think it's as big of a deal outside of the community as we make it, being the Rift S versus the Oculus Quest Link, and I need to get rid of this shit because it's no good anymore, that we were joking about earlier, obviously. Yes, there's going to be benefits to the Quest Link, and there's going to be downgrades. People have said, yeah, it's got, deeper blacks, and, it's got the IPD slider, and it's a good way for people that have the Quest to get into PC VR, but the Rift S is also going to have that extra pixel, and there's benefits, right? The LCD, so I don't think it's going anywhere, and I isn't even the tracking a little bit better? It's got that extra camera over the Quest. I know I've never used the Quest, but
there's many advantages to the Rift S over the Quest, and there are situations where you would want the Quest. Like I was talking to you earlier, if you've got certain laptops that you want to run your PC VR off of, Oculus Link is really the only real option that you have if you want to run a Oculus headset. But that being said, I think that Oculus Rift S, it offers a lot of advantages if you're going to be mainly playing on PC. So I agree. I don't think that it's going anywhere at all. Do you think that this price cut is going to be temporary for the holidays, or do you think that they're going to make it a permanent differential point between the Quest and the Rift S? Is that the Rift S, even though it does a little bit less, it also costs a little bit less?
I don't know. Maybe, it could be a good point, but if they could get away with, they brought it out at the same price as the old CV1. It never dropped in price until it was almost gone, permanently anyway. So I would make the case that it'll probably stay at 400, but again, it depends on what they perceive the public's idea is. If they perceive that, people are going to get more with the Quest, and people will know that, then they may drop the Rift S if the sales don't do very well. So,
Right. Well, yeah, even if the sales drop dramatically, I don't think that they would discontinue it as a platform. Um, I think that it probably will go up. That the price will go back up to 400 for a period after the holidays, but I do think that it's coming back down. They did talk about at the time. At the time that Rift S launched, Rift CV1 was 350, and they were asked specifically about that. You're okay. Well, you kind of are raising the price a little bit, and they said if they launch at 350, then where's the space to cut the price? There is no space to cut the price. So they kind of intimated at the beginning that they were going to be dropping the price anyway, that they were just pricing it at 400 as a launch price. So I expect that probably by the summer of next year that you'll see a permanent cut to 350 on it. Not only because of that's what the CV1 costs, but I do expect that you're going to see a lot more Quest adoption based on the Oculus Link functionality. So we've got Rift S here at 350. We've got Quest that can do PC VR and standalone at 400. We've got PlayStations that are going to be at an all-time low because they're in between generations. This is their last year selling PS4, so those are going to be at all-time low prices. PSVR probably are going to be pretty cheap as well. Is this going to be the year for VR? Is this going to be, in your opinion, our biggest holiday season to date?
I think it is. I think the Quest alone will push it over the top. And then, there's a lot of people that are just now waking up that PlayStation VR is even a thing. They've had a PlayStation 4 for 5 years, and they're like, oh my God, Iron Man is coming. I've talked to people that they didn't know about Iron Man. They didn't know about The Walking Dead. They didn't, there's games that they're just like, you're kidding me, right? So, and as I think this will be the year where we're going to see some mass adoption as far as sales for sure.
Yeah, I think that it's going to definitely be better than anything we've seen before. Not, I mean, the choice and variety of items and products that we have now, it's literally doubled this year with not just the Oculus stuff, but the Valve and HTC stuff, and we've got new Pimax, we've got new WMR. PlayStation platform is pretty much the only thing that hasn't expanded in the whole space. So there's going to be a lot more choice, which is going to spark a lot more competition pricing wise. I think VR has a bigger profile in the public mind now than it ever has before because of some of the awesome pieces of software that we've had come out lately and are getting ready to come out. Pistol Whip's coming, Stormlands is coming. This is going to increase VR's profile in the minds of the public greatly. Mm-hmm. So I think that we're going as a whole, not platform to platform, but as a whole, VR's what to buy this year for the first time ever. There's no new console to go up against. People are starting to get curious about VR, and the price is dropping at just the right time. It's kind of the perfect storm, Roots.
Yeah, and it's becoming trendy, and that's all it needs. You put it on Jimmy Fallon and a couple other shows like that, and everyone's like, oh my God, I saw that beat. Everybody that I've talked about VR that is aware of it at all knows about Beat Saber. So that game alone has brought a lot of people in. And then, like you said, all the AAA titles coming out, especially the ones that are available to be played on the Quest, like Star Wars and stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. The public is finally, they're just now starting to really look at VR as a serious thing. And anybody who's interested in it pretty much wants it. You know, it's always been something that's been in the back of people's minds before because it was always unattainable. People didn't let themselves entertain the fact or entertain the thought of what it would be like to own VR because it was always too expensive or too difficult to use. Not the case anymore. Not the case. The price has dropped. It's extremely easy to use, accessible for everybody, and we're starting to see that reflected in the public, and I think that that's going to be reflected in the holiday sales figures. So I can't wait to see what happens. I'm pretty confident. Well, it may not be the overnight explosion that we want it to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be solid growth, and I think that the exponential curve in the growth of VR is going to continue.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that's enough about that. Let's get back to talking about games. I'm sorry we had to kind of drift off there in the hardware land for a minute, but the Black Friday talk that we were kind of having kind of naturally flowed into that, so I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way. But let's get back to talking about games, and let's talk about Thief Simulator VR. So Thief Simulator is a fairly well-known flat game that we've known for quite some time is going to become coming to VR. The developer Game Boom VR announced quite a while ago that they were porting this, but then they just kind of went silent. We haven't heard much about it until this past week. Just this past Thursday, Game Boom VR announced the release date of Thief Simulator VR, and it's going to come into early access on Steam November 12th, 2019. So basically about a week and a half, we're going to have this. And you know, it's interesting, Roots and I, just on the last Monday show, not even a week ago, we were talking about the November releases, and we said, you know, we don't know what's coming. There's always going to be surprise releases. We don't know what they're going to be, but we do know that they're coming. Well, here we have one such example, a game that we've been waiting on for a long time, but just kind of had fallen off of the map. Now, why did it fall away? Well, according to the developer, it was their goal to port the entire Thief Simulator game to VR. So this is supposed to be a one-to-one port of the flat game. No compromises made, which is really cool. You think that that's going to cost an arm and a leg? Nope. This game is going to launch at early access in about 10 days for $15. A very fair price, especially for a straight flat port like this is. I think the original one costed at least 20 or 30 bucks. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it costs a little more than what they're going to be asking for this. Roots, this thing looks pretty cool. Were you familiar with Thief Simulator before? And are you excited to try it out now?
I was not, but it looks like the game mechanics are really good, almost like it was made for VR. Everything they're doing in there, assuming this is, you know, it's just it looks really good, and I can't wait to check it out. But $15, that is quite a good deal. You know, we've got games coming out brand new for $36 that, you know, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree. This game, I really wasn't aware of it until they announced the fact that they were going to be porting it to VR. But that's been forever ago. Like I said, it's a cool concept. So basically, you have this endless world of houses that you can break into. Some, like real life, some of them are going to be harder to get into than others. And there's all sorts of everything that you can steal. And you can either sell it online or take it to the pawn shop to make money. What are you going to do with that money? Well, you're going to buy items that help you steal more stuff. So basically, you're going to buy stuff that helps you get into these richer people's houses that have more elaborate defense and so on and so forth. And you're just going to keep working your way up the thief food chain until you're really stealing the expensive stuff and making bank.
The cars, stealing the cars.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, you can steal the cars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what are they claiming that we're going to be getting here? Okay, so this game promises fully immersive, realistic mechanics in VR. So this is not going to play like a flat game. This is going to play like a made from the ground up VR game. You can have either plot-based campaign or sandbox gameplay. You can disassemble stolen items into component parts, and like I said, sell them online, sell them at the pawn shop, what have you. You have the ability to buy new thief tools and gadgets to thwart more elaborate security solutions, and you're going to have a fully implemented VR adapted driving model. So you're going to be driving this car like you would drive any other VR car. Like they took all this time to bring this flat game into VR, but not as a port, but they took the time to make it play like a VR game. And knowing all this and knowing how much work that must have been, especially for a developer like this who doesn't really work on VR all that much, I think that it's surprising that it just costs $15. I mean, I think that there's a lot here. What do you think?
No, it looks like it is definitely for $15. Looks like it's going to be a steal. You would expect it'd be a lot more. But it's the business model. It's going to be, in my opinion, it's smarter. They're going to be selling more copies for $15. You know, everybody wants to sell their game for more, and I get it. You know, especially if you don't think many people are going to buy the game, but you're almost self-fulfilling that prophecy. You're pricing it to a point where they won't sell, and so hence you're not going to get that many people to buy it, and you're gimping yourself from the beginning. So I think it's very good, and it shows me that a lot more games shouldn't be probably priced as high as they are. You know, at least ports, maybe. I don't know. Looks really good. Looks like everything is legit. 100%, like you said, 1-to-1. The everything. It looks like they're really doing the stuff. They're not just pushing a button. So
I'll tell you what surprises me about it is just how good the graphics look in this game. You know, when I heard Thief Simulator, I thought Job Simulator, I thought Vacation Simulator, I thought Surgery Simulator, you know, all that stuff that has these cartoony looking graphics. This thing looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah. I can't wait to be hiding under a bed and watch security looking for me and stuff. It looks like a really well done stealth game as well, you know? So, and it gives you everything that we always talk about that you need to bring people back in, something to spend your money on, you know, more tools. And, you know, hopefully they'll give you some, you know, things to spend your money on, like a nice house or a car, or, you know, as long as I'm driving stuff around, I want my own Rolls Royce or something cool. Bentley.
How much do you think that the timing and pricing of this thing has to do with the fact that we have Grand Theft Auto and Asgard's Wrath and games like this that are entering the fray now? Now, this wasn't a concern 6 months ago, but now you have Asgard's Wrath giving people the most enriched VR experience possible for $40, and you have games like Grand Theft Auto that are giving up this style of gameplay, but on an even grander scale. How much do you think that the release of those games have to do with the pricing and the timing of this game?
Oh, it's huge. Stormlands comes out 2 days after this. So getting it in there before is smart as well. And, you know, I think this is going to be the biggest hurdle for a lot of indie developers to get over. You know, I've used this analogy before, but, you know, somebody with a garage sale overpricing their shit because it's their shit and they think it's worth more than it is. Developers put a lot of time and sweat and money into these games and experiences, and then one day they wake up and Asgard's Wrath and Stormlands have came out, and now what $40 is worth is completely different than it was a month ago. And it's like, fuck, man, we were expecting to charge $35 for our game, and maybe we need to drop it to $19.95 and sell more copies, and there's gonna have to be that point. And most developers, in my experience of what I've noticed, is the ones, they wait too long. They say, fuck it, we're putting it out for that price anyway, and then a month later, when no one's buying it, they drop it, and they miss the ball. They miss that window. Now that's an old game, that's a month old. Fuck, I've already decided I'm not going to own that game. Now it's $20. I don't care if it's $20. You could have gotten me 2 weeks ago or a month ago. I think pricing is everything,
Yeah, well, it certainly has a lot to do with people's attitudes towards a new game. You see it often, and what you're saying here is very common amongst these independent developers who are new to VR. That they're pricing a game based on what they put into it, and they're not considering the big picture. First of all, you have to consider what people are going to be willing to pay, and I get it. You feel like you need to be compensated at a certain amount, but if you price yourself out of the market, you're not going to be compensated at all. Now, there's also the fact that you only have one chance at making a first impression. We've seen absolutely great games like Evasion come out with an overpriced, an inflated price tag, $30, because that's what they thought that their effort was worth. And not only did people not buy Evasion, but people saw that $30 price tag, and they allowed that to equate into inflated expectations for the game itself. It has a high price tag, so it must be really great. And when the game didn't live up to the expectations, then what happened was there was a ton of negative attitudes and negative reviews. And for an independent developer trying to break into the VR game business, those early onset negative reviews can be absolutely devastating. They can destroy your chances of ever having any success with your game, because once people get a negative attitude about it, people quit asking questions about how good or bad is it really. Everyone says it's crap, so it must be, and that's kind of the attitude that people take. So you really have to be careful when you launch something at a high price tag. You got to really be careful with what you're doing here. Make sure what you're offering people, if they're going to feel like they got their money's worth, regardless of how you feel about the money, you getting your money that's worth your time. So definitely seems like the devs here for Thief Simulator get that. And I think that's refreshing. I think there's a very valuable lesson to be taken here from what is a very polished, very good looking game, charging a very fair price.
This game's going to be 10 times better in VR too. I mean, it looks cool for a flat game, but getting to do all this firsthand looks really cool, and it looks very firsthand. Looks like Job Simulator, but you're actually doing shit. Job Simulator.
It looks like Boneworks.
Yeah,
it looks like.
Yeah. Well, that just looks really good. I'm kind of psyched.
Yeah, me too. I think this is one of the better case scenarios of an indie game living in the onset of AAA VR, because that's where we're at. We're in the onset of AAA VR. We're coming into the Gen 2 VR games, and a game like this, fairly priced, that's fairly polished, I think can survive in the space. But then there's other games like Failspace VR. This is another game we've known about coming for quite some time, but it just kind of fell off the map. and we didn't know when it would be coming, if ever. And we come to find out this week, just like Thief Simulator, it's another surprise November release coming just in a few days on the 7th. It's coming to Steam on the 7th from developer Hipfire Games. So for those of you who aren't familiar, what is it? Okay, so the concept here is you and a fellow group of VR players are going to assume the role of a spacecraft crew on board of a space truck. So you're truckers. You're in the business of moving cargo throughout the galaxies. It's a co-op game. It's not just you. It's you and up to 3 friends playing together cooperatively. You and your crew will have to constantly carry out repairs to get the space vehicle working. So it's one of these games where you're going to be up against a deadline. You have a delivery to make, you have a pickup to make, but you're driving this janky ass space truck that keeps breaking down. And in order to get it back up in a timely manner, you're going to have to work together. That's the concept here for Failspace VR. Roots, an interesting and original concept, but I see a bunch of red flags here for this game. One, first of all, what we were just talking about. This is a fairly basic looking independent level game in the onset of AAA VR, and it looks it looks like a decent game a year ago to me, basically. The second big no-no is this is a multiplayer game. This is pretty much designed around multiplayer, and as we've discussed many times on this show, that's a big red flag for any VR game. If you're planning on building your game around a multiplayer concept, it really has to be rock solid to catch on. What did you think about Failspace VR when you read up on what we have here? And do you think a game like this has a snowball's chance in hell of surviving in the current climate?
You're discounting the pizza guy, man. He's playing there too, man. You got all those people that are just looking for the next phone game to play because everybody's playing their phone. I don't know. I don't even know that this game has much of a chance in the sense that the premise doesn't sound intriguing to me. It sounds like a pain in the ass. I don't want to be repairing my ship over and over again. I don't know, unless there's more to it than that. It just seems kind of boring to me. You know, I mean, it could be cool in VR, but I don't know what phone dude's doing there. You know, that just doesn't look that cool. I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of pricing it's got as well. But in the multiplayer, like you said, it's got to be done really right. And I just don't want to be a trucker going through space. Trevor looks cool though. I like him with that, hat on, but I don't know.
I like the whole trucker concept. I'm cool with the idea of having some kind of difficulty making pickups and making deliveries, bringing trucker culture into the outer space. It's an interesting blend of genres that I think could work. What I'm not so keen on is the fact that it's strictly a multiplayer game, and it says here that play sessions last around 10 minutes long. So it's literally like you start playing and you're done. You start playing and you're done. The same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's very basic looking graphically. Like, again, this looks like a good game from a year ago, from 18 months ago. Today, it just looks like another game. You know what I mean?
Well, we already have From Other Suns that's older than a year ago, and it's way better than this graphically, and you're doing more than you get off the ship. And I just don't think, like I said, it just seems very basic as far as going across and just repairing your ship. I don't know if there's more to it than that, but if that's just it, I don't. I really do worry about multiplayer because you're gonna get me in there, and I don't know. It's weird. It's just, to me, as a weird concept in a sense. There's got to be more to it than just the repairs.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that it's basically a communication-based teamwork concept for a gameplay, but it seems like it's going to be just a little too basic for me. It seems like it could be some fun in the same way that other game we just talked about was, the one where you're working with other people to try to crack safes. And there was two phases. There was one getting to the safe, and then there was cracking the safe, and then there was collecting the loot and getting out without being caught. That game seemed like it was going to be fun, but it seemed like there was a lot more going on there than there is here.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong. We don't know a lot about this game. But for what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing right now, I mean, if they put $5 or $10 on it, or if it's on, Viveport, sure, maybe. But I don't know. I'm not so pumped for this one.
$30? You're not paying $30 for this?
I'm not paying $30 for it.
Yeah, me neither. Or I mean, unless it's something different than what we're seeing right here. This is a lot of speculation on this game. Now, this is one thing.
Well, I mean, what I'm telling you here is not speculation. The concept, everything I've said about this game, pretty much is straight from the devs. Okay. This is what they're saying that their game is.
Okay. Do you think that the people there, that the pizza guy, after when it cuts, if he goes back and rings the doorbell, and then they realize they're really partners, and then they fall in love?
I didn't see what the pizza guy was doing, but you said he had a phone, right?
Yeah, he's got a phone. He's playing. I'm assuming he's a part of her crew. Because she opens the door and she notices he's playing the same game, and so I don't know if maybe he's gonna.
I see it now.
He's gonna leave, and then he's gonna come back, and he's gonna be like, wait, and then they're gonna fall in love, and
Well, here's the thing: the originally, when they announced this concept, it was supposed to be one of those co-op games where people could play along with their cell phone.
Oh, they changed it.
They dropped it. They can't even do that anymore.
Okay, well, this isn't a very good trailer then.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not your fault. That's on them. That seems like that was going to be the major hook for their game, and then they dropped it out. So now it's just what's left. Okay. They're going to give us what's left in a few days.
Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what it is. Maybe they can prove me wrong. It'll be the game of the year, and this is what will bring people into the Quest. I don't know.
Game of if this was on Quest, that would be great.
Well, maybe it'll come.
A Quest game?
Maybe it'll come to the Quest because it's so good.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
It looks like a Quest game, but I don't think it is one, and that's never good.
Yeah. This has got warning bells all over it.
Yeah. Well, we should move on. I don't like being too negative over these games, especially games I haven't played.
True.
So let's move on. But the next thing I want to talk about,
it's not going to get us positive. That's for damn sure.
It's Golem. I got to talk. Unfortunately, we've got to have this talk again. And I feel like a father talking to their child that keeps sneaking out and stealing the car, and they swore that they'd never do it again, and they know if they get caught doing it one more time that they're never going to get to drive the car again. But here we are. I can't believe that we're having this talk again, Golem. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I'm just surprised that you're surprised. We should have seen this coming, right?
Right. And am I being over dramatic here? Of course I am. Just because of who this is. Okay, for those of you who don't already know, who aren't members of our Discord, Golem for PSVR, the PSVR exclusive, the one PSVR exclusive that we know of that we're going to get for the entire rest of this year, it has once again been delayed. And yeah, it's just a week. I know. They just pushed it back a week. But man, if you're Golem and you're this team of developers and you know that your game is synonymous with missing deadlines time and time and time again, year after year after year after year. I mean, how bad must it have been? I mean, they know this. They know that their game was a joke forever, right? Because of this. So it couldn't have been lightly that they decided to push this back even for a day. You know what that's going to do to your game in the press. You know what people are going to say if you delay it again. Roots, why could this possibly have happened?
You're scratching my head as well. I don't. There has to be something big, some kind of issue. I would hope. I know we keep talking
How
about.
big could it be?
Well, I don't know.
It's only a week.
We talk about wanting to release a game and not have patches, and they've waited so long, and they think maybe we'll just wait one more week. I don't know. I'm baffled. Yeah, because it's like you said, it's the last thing that they needed nor wanted, I'm sure. And it kind of makes me sadistically hoping that they delay it one more time. Because I mean, if at that point shitstorm hits and we have something to talk about, but I want to try it more than I want that to happen. And I don't want to, probably would warrant it. Someday when I meet you in real life, you'll punch me in the face because, you'll be so appalled that I even thought that. So.
No, I am disappointed a bit here, though, because I'm actually starting to have a little bit of faith that this might actually be a good game. I don't know that it will. I don't necessarily even think that it will, but I do think that it could. I think that it looks like a good game. I know that the developers have pedigree behind them, that they know how to make a good game, and I know that this game has been in development for a long time. And for those of you who aren't familiar, or maybe you're new to the VR space or new to the show, let's have a little history lesson here. This game was announced before PSVR itself had even launched. In 2015, this game was announced. It was shaping up to be launched in early 2018, but suffered a last minute delay, kind of like what Aspire 1 just did, a last minute delay, and then it disappeared, went back into hiding for years. Finally, it turned back up at this past year's E3 in basically the form of an announcement that it was coming in summer. Summertime came, the announcement came that it was coming in fall. And then Perp Games, upon acquiring distribution rights for it, told us that it was coming on November the 8th. Yeah, on November the 8th in Europe physically, and then to follow on the digital store on the 12th. Now we know that, or we don't know. Now they're saying that it's going to release in Europe on the 19th, on the 15th of November. The digital launch will be on the 19th. US physical release will be on the 22nd. Roots, one of the big worries we had about this game being in development for so long from such a high-profile team, let's be honest, this is a high-profile team of developers. One of the things we were worried about is this game coming out and being overpriced. $40, $50, $60. $30. And if this game is as good as I think it's going to be, that's a very fair price. Were you surprised at the $30 price tag?
A little bit. I was expecting more. Like you said, they put a lot of time, and they've got a good team, and it all depends on what the gameplay is. Now, I am concerned that they're going to put it off again and then disappear for another year, but no, I'm not concerned about that. pretty sure we'll get it a week late. Hopefully, it won't be delayed again.
Yeah, hopefully, because like I had alluded to earlier, there's not a lot going on for PSVR right now. That they've gotten to the point now where they're starting to run out of PC ports to bring over, and they're in between console generations. I really, really expected to hear a big PSVR game to be announced sometime over the past month, but it has not come. So Golem was it. And for them to consciously make the decision to even further deteriorate people's expectations and faith in this game is mind-boggling to me. I hope this game does meet this deadline, and I hope it's as good as it could be. Frankly, I hope so for PSVR's sake, if nothing else, because PlayStation really needs a hit right now.
I'm feeling bad. I'm starting to feel bad. Like, I know there's some people, couple people out there that have one or the other. They don't have both. I kind of feel like you need to have both at this point. There's good points on both, but if you're going to have one, PC is definitely the way to lean at this point. Now we've talked about Gen 2, and our prediction is PlayStation is going to run away with it for a while, for a time, because I just really think that they're going to come out swinging. So
yeah, I agree. I think that when by the time PlayStation VR 2 comes out and we get the second generation of PlayStation VR, that it's going to be absolutely amazing. We already know what console developers can do along the lines of optimization for a console, and we already know that the PS5 is going to be a beast. So I think that by the time that happens, that PlayStation is going to be where it's at. But that said, I think that we are years away from that.
yeah,
And we're going to need something to hold us over, something to keep the faith, something to keep all these PSVR people from becoming full-time Quest players.
yeah.
So hopefully Sony's working on it, and hopefully for the holidays, Golem is going to be that game. Maybe they just know something we don't. Maybe Sony knows that Golem's this awesome game that's getting ready to come out, and it's going to revolutionize VR and blow everybody's socks off.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Only time will tell. How much time, no one can say for certain, but I am confident that one day we will have this game.
Yeah. Well, it would be a bummer if it disappeared completely now. We're so close.
Yeah, I agree. I actually, for the first time since I was a brand new PSVR owner, I actually want to play this game. It went from me wanting to play everything when I was a new VR owner, this included. I mean, this looked amazing to me when I first got my PSVR. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to play Golem. Look at it. And over time, as the games have gotten better and better, Golem started to look worse and worse. But then it started to look better too. So I've once again gotten back to the point where I want to try it out. I just hope it's good.
Yeah.
I don't. How many times can I say it? I hope it's good.
Crossing fingers.
What's interesting about Golem? We always kind of just talk about it, like it and Iron Man are the last big hope for PS4. But what we often overlook and fail to mention when we have these discussions is dreams. This probably more than anything, Iron Man included, this is the most highly anticipated PSVR game of the last 2 years probably. I mean, the things that they have promised us that this game is going to be, if they're able to pull it off, it's going to be something unlike anything else that we've ever seen in VR on any platform. And the interesting thing about it is that even though that there's a creator mode that we already have access to in the flat version, they have promised us when this game releases, it's going to support VR fully at release. They've also promised us that this is going to be a PS4 game with a fully uh, functional and user friendly game engine in it. So not only are you going to be able to play a full campaign that they have built for us, but you're going to be able to design art, video, music, and games. You're going to be able to make your own games in this, and it's supposedly going to be not so difficult to do. Um, so they made a lot of promises about Dreams Roots. The thing is, the time is running out on PS4. They've already made unbelievable claims with what they're going to be able to do in VR. Uh, and the thing is, as time goes on, they're not fading away. To the contrary, they're making even more promises and describing their vision more and more. And that bar just keeps going up and up and up. And before we even get on to the latest thing that they've said, I just want to ask you, just from the original vision of Dreams and what they said it was going to be on PS4, on PlayStation VR, do you think they're going to be able to even live up to their original promises?
If their original promise involves VR being on the PlayStation 4, no. I don't see, like people have said, the frames, they can't get the frames up high enough. I think it's the VR version. And I think somebody said it in Discord. And I agree. It's not going to come out until PlayStation 5. That's my opinion. I don't see how they can push what they're talking about. It'll be amazing when the PlayStation 5 comes out, but I don't know.
So do you think that means that that PlayStation VR isn't supported when they come into full release, or do you think that they just don't come into full release until PlayStation 5?
I would say the latter. That they can keep something in early access another year. Why not work on it? Add to it, do everything that you just talked about, and then release it for VR. It's not going to make. There's nothing we can do about it anyway. And we know it's going to run amazing on the PlayStation 5. So why not shoot for that? Especially with their goals being so high. It's not like they're fine tuning it. They're adding aggressively, So it just seems like everything's adding up to a PlayStation 5 release for full release anyway, if they're going to stick to what their original promise was, which was full release with VR.
Yeah, I think that. Well, let me say, I do think that they could give us some limited VR support on PlayStation 4, but this, I think, will be mainly their campaign that they created. I think that they'll be able to pull that off and release a full story campaign playable in PlayStation VR, and maybe even some limited art tools, like Sculptor VR, like Tilt Brush, that sort of functionality, Quill, Medium, that sort of program. As far as the full-fledged user-created VR games, like Mario Maker style servers where people make VR games, they've said that the way that's going to be regulated is through user reviews. If the frames are low and it makes people sick, it'll get bad reviews. Nobody will ever play it. But the ones that are talented and good at it will get good reviews, and people will play those. So I think that works to a point, but I don't think that their full vision of what they want Dreams to be, um, I don't think that that's possible on a PlayStation 4, not even on a Pro. So I do think that it'll be, if we ever see their vision come to fruition, it will be on PlayStation 5, whether that means a late launch or broken promises on the PS4 front. I think that that's just a fact that it's going to be PS5 before we really see the potential of this game. Um, I've always had faith in this development team because I've taken an interest in this game and what it's going to be, and I've seen some amazing things that they've done in Dreams. This is going to be truly remarkable, even if it never supports VR. A truly remarkable piece of software. Um, I always kind of had faith in them that they knew what they were talking about, that they're not just delusional. But then I read stuff like this, and this is something that they've kind of alluded to recently, and I mentioned it, like what you were talking about on our Discord. We were talking about the other day that they want for people to be able to monetize their creations in Dreams. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, so they have a dream store that people sell their dreams things. Yeah, that could work. Makes sense somewhat, I guess. But that's not what they meant. They elaborated this past week. Let's see here. According to co-founder of the studio, Kareem Atone, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's spelled Etone. Kareem Etone, the company is looking into implementing a commercial license that Dreams creator can apply. So not only are you getting like a regular license to play the game, but you're actually paying a little extra to get a commercial license, and which will let them distribute their created works in Dreams beyond the PlayStation platform. The goal is for Dreams to last 20 years and to keep expanding and to keep adding to it and to keep improving it. So you're building another game engine here. So there's going to be Unreal, there's going to be Unity, and there's going to be Dreams. Okay, I'll buy it. Maybe, maybe not, but okay, let's say, sure, you're going to do that. You're going to obviously continue to support it, update it, keep it going for 20 years. Well, I mean, Unreal's been around about that long now, right? So, sure, why not? Let's say you even did that. A little bit more far-fetched, but okay, sure. That people are going to be able to distribute their created works in Dreams beyond the PlayStation platform. Now, Dreams is being developed, Roots, by a company called Media Molecule. And you know what the most, if you read the fact sheet on Media Molecule, do you know what bullet point number 1 is? I'm asking you, do you know?
I have no idea.
Subsidiary of Sony Incorporated. They are owned by Sony, but they're saying right here that they want that their vision is for creators in the game to pay for a commercial license so that they can distribute their games developed in Dreams on platforms outside of PlayStation. This don't add up to me, Roots. How is this possible? It's not like they can take it to Epic Store. Epic Store runs on Unreal 4.
Right.
So this means that we would have to have a platform outside of PlayStation that runs Dreams.
Right. And so why would Sony allow that anyway? And like you said, it's not like it's easy to just port it over to every platform. Very bizarre statement. And it's very bizarre to think that they're going to do something like this for 20 years as well. I mean, it's great to have, goals. It's great to dream big, but to put that out there as your goal for everybody, and this is what we're doing, and this is going to be 20 years, and I don't even know what VR will be in 20 years, or this, who knows, man,
Yeah, well, that 20 years thing, I mean, yeah, that took me back a little bit, but it's not nearly as far-fetched as having widespread adoption of their game engine outside of Sony. Sony funded this thing. Sony built this thing. They're not going to let other platforms have dreams. This is going to be something that's synonymous with PlayStation for many years, maybe even for up to 20 years. PlayStation might run some version of Dreams, but there's no way in hell Sony's ever going to let this go to somewhere else, especially if it's as amazing as it's build to be.
Yeah, but
this is going to be something they keep for themselves.
What about what we were talking about before about how Sony may be breaking into the VR PC market, like with the Epic Game Store and slowly releasing and possibly having their own store.
That'd be the only way. That'd be the only way.
But can you imagine if they did somehow do that and encroached on the PC and said, you know what, we're gonna take some of your people too. I don't know.
That'd be the only way. If Sony were to decide that they were going to be in the a direct competitor to Steam, basically, is what they would have to become. They would have to have their own PC platform that offers flat as well as VR games. Basically, do what Steam does and basically be a software storefront on PC and expand their vision beyond console into PC gaming just in the name of selling software. In that scenario, sure. But I don't think that that's what Media Molecule is alluding to here. You know, they said that that they already had the infrastructure for the commercial licensing program in place, and then within a day they quickly redacted that and said, "Well, we have plans for it, but it's not built yet. It's not in place." It seems to me like they're making plans outside of Sony here. And if they're doing that, these people are delusional.
Yeah.
And if these people are delusional, we have to question everything they've told us about Dreams. And I don't want to do that. I want to believe this is going to be what they said it's going to be. And if it is, and I've said this many times before, if this game turns out to be what they said it's going to be, I will lay $100 bill down and pay for it happily, because it's going to be that awesome. But time's running out for it to happen, at least on PS4. And I'm starting to, my faith is starting to be a bit shaken, to say the least.
Yeah. What a bummer. You are the creator. You could have been the creator, man. Maybe you still can. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the wonderful thing about Dreams is that, I mean, we've seen what people are capable of through the modding community and in games like Minecraft. And I mean, just everywhere. There are talented, creative people all over this world who are willing to put in the amount of time and effort just to make something good, to say, hey, see this great thing? I made that. And if they have a tool like they're describing here, there is no doubt in my mind that this thing is going to be an infinite supply of awesome VR experiences. Maybe not necessarily games, but awesome VR experiences, and endless supply of it. That's why I said it would be every bit worth $100, is because it would just keep on giving throughout the entire lifespan of the console. I mean,
yeah,
it would just keep going. So Media Molecule, what you've shown us is impressive. Please, let's just focus on our original set of goals here, and we'll worry about growing beyond PlayStation at another time, okay? All right, so let's move on to something that I'm genuinely excited about, and it's a new piece of news. I want to thank Mamefan for pointing me in the direction of it. I didn't know that, or maybe it was Alex. I think it was Alex and Mamefan. Wasn't it on the Discord? Alex posted the story, but then Mamefan tagged me in it so that I would see it.
I think so.
I'm talking about Layers of Fear, of course. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So thanks, Alex and Mamefan, for pointing this out to me. This is a game, Layers of Fear, that's pretty much a 6 or 7 year old flat game. I know about this game and I'm very familiar with it because of Vortex support. Whenever I go through my bi-monthly bout with wrestling with whether or not I want to get into Vortex or not, Layers of Fear is always one of the things that's toward the top of my list. Reasons why I would want to get Vortex. This game is everything that I love about a VR game. Well, first of all, let's talk about what it is. The original Layers of Fear game is coming to PC VR on Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, quite a few years after its initial PC, Xbox, and PlayStation release in 2016. So this is a 3-year-old game. It's not as old as I thought it was. Roots, are you familiar with this game at all? And if so, is this something you're interested in playing in VR?
I am not familiar with it, or was not until I pulled the clip, and yeah, it looks really good. Looks creepy as hell. And if it's made for flat and it's coming as a port, I bet it's going to be amazing. I don't know, what did the reviews get as far as flat game? Were they pretty good? I'm assuming if you want to play.
People love this game. It's a completely original concept, or at least it will be in the VR space. We don't have any games like this yet. This is another level of out there.
Will it rival your baby? Will this become your new fave?
It very well could. Let me read off some of the features that they've listed for this game here. This is their words. Game features psychedelic horror. Now, do I need to say anything more than that? It elaborates on what that means, but I just said psychedelic horror. Come on, man. VR, give me a break. All right, it says that a sense of insanity means that each turn of the camera may completely change the look of your surroundings. Now, I've explained it to you many times on this show how cool I think it is when you're looking at one thing, you turn your head, you look back at it, and it's something completely different. It fucks with your head in VR in a way like nothing else does. They're going to lean heavily on that mechanic in this game. And it's something that's only been dabbled with this far in VR.
Yeah, you see little bits, pieces, like here and there in games, right? But like I can't remember what game it was, but as like every time I turned around, it was different, and it was leading me in circles in this hallway, and I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" It's one of those things that you can't get in anything. Like being looking at something, turn away and look back, and the door's gone. It's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? It's really cool.
It's like that effect that you get at the end of the Batman game when you realize that. Never mind. I don't want to spoil it, but you get this effect at the end of the Batman game. We'll just say that. It's like the effect in Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice when you're in the Valravn stage, the Master of Deception, when you're looking through those gates, and all of a sudden the path opens where it was once closed. It's that kind of weirdness that I love in VR, and it seems like we're going to get more of it in this game than we've ever had, and the rest of VR combined. This game features a Victorian setting. Explore a game world inspired by masterpiece paintings, architecture, and decor from the 19th century. Roots, you've watched enough of my gameplays and seen how I admire these sorts of things in VR. I study every little single thing, the artwork, basically everything about how the environments come together. I'm sitting here and critiquing it. Even Mamefan said it in my comment section the other day that I should have been an art historian. So again, another thing that you can tick off the list of my favorite things in VR. Original and classic art. Numerous pieces of original art and music flesh out the story and environment. It features, quote, story-focused exploration. Come on, man. This is a game that was made for me. I love story-focused exploration. Only through exploring the environment can you uncover the details of the painter's dark and tragic past. Roots, if I asked you, knowing me, and you know me pretty well now, to write out all of the features of what I would consider to be the perfect VR game, did I leave anything off of that list there?
No, this is it. This is your game, man. When does it come out? Because I kind of want to play it now.
Well, it came out in 2016 for Google Daydream when it was released on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Wow.
No, but anyway, yeah, that is true. It did come out on Google Daydream, but that was called Layers of Fear Solitude, and they had to make severe compromises to get it to run on Android. The game basically became way more linear. It only allowed you to move by node-based teleportation and was a lot more restrictive than the PC version of the game. What we're getting here most likely is going to be the PC version of the game, and they haven't said when we're getting it. It just had a Steam page pop up last week, and again, this is something that's been playable in Vortex for a long time, and man, I can't wait for this. This is quickly risen to, top 5, easy top 5 most anticipated VR games for me now.
Yeah, it looks creepy. I wonder what kind of scares it has. Like, you know what I mean? It shows a lot of stuff, but it doesn't really show what kind of fear to expect, I guess. The jump scares or more
layers.
Yeah, layers, I guess. Yeah, they did tell us there's layers, man. Everything's layers like an onion, right? Like Shrek says.
Yep, exactly.
Or,
one you peel back one layer only to reveal another one even deeper. So I would expect a little bit of every kind of horror. I would expect it all to kind of work together. Now, that being said, I've never played it. I've never watched a playthrough of it. I always kind of assumed that I would be playing this at some point in VR. I always thought it would be Vortex. I didn't think I'd get native support. God, I can't wait for this game to come out. It's going to be so good. Yeah, but I'm not going to just keep on drooling all over this game. This basically looks like a game that was custom made for me personally, and who knows, certain people's philosophies would say that it was custom made for me personally.
yeah, like almost like the world was made around you, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. This is my game. They made a game perfectly for me because I wanted them to do that, and I believe that they would. So
you might as well, right?
Yeah. All right. So moving on, Roots. I Expect You to Die is an awesome game, and we've spoken a lot about this game in the history of our show. This is an escape the room puzzle game that we've how many original missions did this have? Was it 3?
I think 3 or 4, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it had 3 or 4 original missions. They keep adding DLC to it, so now to the point that it has 6 or 7 of them. And it wasn't that long that it really got the last one, right? What was it, 3-4 months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't very long ago. Well, already the developer of I Expect You to Die, Shell Games, they're starting to allude at the next DLC. And I heard that they were working on one a week or 2 ago, but I expected this to be something coming out in the early part of next year. I didn't expect it to be coming very soon, but they've gone into full-fledged promo mode on Twitter. So this is what they've said. Quote, "As you may have seen, The Enhanced Operative Division was hacked yesterday by Dr. Zor. Dr. Zor is the villain of the game. You're always a step behind Dr. Zor. Now is the time to strategize while HQ prepares your next mission. We plan to review all of your previous assignments so the agency can take down Zoraxis once and for all. All right, Roots. So what they're doing here, this was just the first tweet. What they're doing here is via Twitter, they're recapping all of the missions that we've done so far and what the nature of each one of them was in different tweets. And I'd like to point out a phrase that they used in this last statement and read into it a little bit. It said, the agency can take down Zoraxis once and for all. Now, to me, Roots, with the way that they're building this, reviewing the entire game and using that phrase, taking down Zoraxis once and for all, it sounds like this is it. It sounds like we're getting the last one to me. What about you?
Yeah, it sounds like a finale. Like, and maybe bring it all together, right? All the missions,
And it feels like the right time, doesn't it? I mean, this feels like it's getting close to being a complete game. And like we've detailed many times in recent weeks, the generation is shifting. We're coming into a new period for VR, and nobody would know that more than Shell Games. These guys have been in VR since before VR was a thing, so nobody would recognize the times changing before these guys do, and it doesn't surprise me at all that this one's coming to an end. It feels like the right time to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's time to put a nail in the coffin and move on to the next game that I guarantee will be head and shoulders better than this one that they make. Because like you said, they've been in it for a long time, and I'm sure they're working on something else.
Yeah, and I'm sure whatever it is, it'll be great. No easy feat to put out a game better than this one from them. I mean, this is top notch, and you can watch our review discussion on it if you want to know our in-depth details about what we think about each mission and so on and so forth. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game for the most part, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how they end it all off. I imagine this thing's going to be pretty epic because it's been pretty epic so far.
Well, yeah, I think it'll be it'll be just as good, if not better, than the rest of it.
Yeah, as long as they stay above water, right?
Yeah.
All right. That said, I have one more piece of news I want to talk about here before we wrap it up. I Expect You to Die isn't the only big name Gen 1 VR game that's teasing a big announcement or an announcement of some sort. We can speculate to how big it is, but I'm talking about Beat Saber. Recently, again via Twitter, recently Beat Saber has posted a very mysterious image of a red arrow cube. You know what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
the arrow cubes from Beat Saber. You're looking at them there. With the date November 7th. Well, we get new stuff from Beat Saber all the time. We get, music packs, updates to the game structure and how it plays, things that you can do, different game modes. Why is this one any more interesting than any other tease that they've ever done? Well, I'll tell you why. November 7th. That day isn't just any day. That is the day that Pistol Whip releases. And in a box, that doesn't seem like much. But recently, the developers of both Beat Saber and Superhot met up. They had a meeting, and this fueled a rumor that collaboration between the two on a new game is going on, or at least some kind of mode. In fact, Beat Saber's Twitter, the very same Twitter that put this picture out, held a poll to ask if they should do a collaboration with Superhot, which overwhelmingly the answer was yes. So when you take all that into consideration, that Pistol Whip basically marketed itself as being this hybrid combination of Beat Saber and Superhot. Shortly thereafter, Beat Saber and Superhot start talking about working together, and now you have Beat Saber releasing this tease of a big announcement on the same day that Pistol Whip's being released. Roots, does 2 plus 2 equal 4 here? Is Beat Saber getting ready to announce this deal of epic proportions with the Superhot team?
Well, it depends on what 2 is. No, just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it sure sounds like it, man. It sounds like it's a direct reaction to Pistol Whip, and maybe it was even in the works for a long time ago. Who knows? But sounds like they're releasing something, and I would love to see a collaboration between the two. I don't really know what kind of a level they would do. I guess they could do, like a special Superhot level. And it would probably be more likely. But either way, it sounds pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah, it sounds great. Maybe they're going to add more weapons other than sabers into the game. Huh? Give it like a Superhot motif, put some pistols in your hands, and take on Audica while they're at it.
Why does
it got to
be
about that?
Why does it have to be a pistol? Why can't I have a high heel shoe to throw around or something? Superhot, there's a lot of weapons in there. No, just kidding. But yeah, I think it would be a good reaction to Pistol Whip. I mean, it's just it's showing you that there are, for a while there, it seemed like almost every VR company knew nothing about marketing. They didn't know anything. Like everything they did was like, what are you doing? But you're starting to see some of these companies actually making good decisions, and a collaboration between those two, and just the way they're releasing the information is very interesting and getting people talking about it. In case we are, it definitely it's pretty smart.
Now that said, friends, this could be us just playing connect the dots and dots that weren't numbered. So we could be off base here. But it at least looks like, I think they at least know what they're doing here. I think that even if it is unrelated, that they know that people are going to draw these conclusions, and it could just be a publicity stunt. We may just be getting 360 mode. We knew, they said during the holiday season we're going to be getting 360 mode, right? So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, well, and maybe it's just a way to get the collaboration that they're planning on doing talked about, and a year from now they come out with a fucking badass super hot Beat Saber game. Hot Saber, yeah.
Super Saber.
There's all sorts of things that they could do, really, and it's cool because Beat Saber is probably one of the most known games in VR right now, but everything changes, and it shows you that these developers aren't just relying on Beat Saber, and they're going to do the next bigger and better thing, and hopefully Superhot is a part of it. So.
Dude, if I were these guys, I would have already cashed out with Sony. It would have already happened a long time ago. I would have taken my $20 or $30 million or whatever and just said, all right, we work for you now, boss.
Yeah.
Because Sony, with their music catalog, what they could do with this concept, the possibilities are endless. Anyway, back to the subject at hand here. I think that there could be some fire behind this smoke. We're not going to have to wait long to find out. November 7th, Roots. We're just a few days away from Pistol Whip, man. How about that? That's got me freaking amped.
I know, and I got to take my suit back. I was getting ready to do a video with a suit, and then I noticed everybody under the fucking sun did their suit video, and I thought, oh man, what a waste. So, although I will say that Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis did look the best in his suit. He did win the the best dressed award in our Discord for that particular video for sure. So
Yeah, every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man, and that's what Mike was, right?
yeah, that's right.
All right. So yeah, no suit for me playing Pistol Whip, but I'm definitely going to play it. I might play it in my birthday suit, but no tie.
No recording either, right? Because your wife might be upset.
Well, I don't know, man. I could do some interesting things with the green screen there, right?
Yeah, that's right. You could have all sorts of stuff going on.
Especially with something like Beat Saber. Imagine what I could do with Beat Saber.
Well, we were talking about that hand tracking, right? Like maybe, you know, what kind of movements they would have. And, you know, really, we never really thought about hand tracking, right? What's it going to record or what your hands are doing in general. So we'll leave it at that. But it's an interesting.
Man, this guy plays dice in VR all the time.
Yeah.
Why is this guy playing dice every day at the same time?
He keeps using that same hand gesture. Oh, man.
All right, so that's enough, folks. We're both starting to get a little tired, a little slap happy here. It's time to move to everyone's favorite segment where we talk about the Monday show and what we're going to be talking about. Of course, as always, we're going to be doing at least one game review, maybe two later in the week. Look out for that. But tomorrow, the business at hand Monday show number 12. Last week's Monday show, Epic Roots. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, last Monday show was awesome. It ran a little bit long, but really good conversation had there. If you haven't checked out last week's Monday show, be sure you do that. What are we going to be talking about tomorrow, Roots?
Well, we're going to be talking about one game that we've been waiting to talk about a few weeks, and it got pushed back, I think, twice now. This time we are going to be talking about it, and that is Minotaur Arcade. And it's one of those ones that I wanted to try the moment I saw it, the moment I heard who made it, and I still have yet to try it. It's been in my library for weeks, so I'm psyched to try it tomorrow. So.
Ditto for everything you just said. I have such immense respect for this developer and everything he's done in the industry. I have such a love for Polybius, his first VR game, that I've wanted to try this out since the moment I heard about it. So we're going to do that. We're going to play this game. It's actually a collection of two games. Old school arcade games converted into 3D, converted into VR. A game called Goat Up, which is a platform, and this game here called Grid Runner, which is a shooter. We're going to check them out. We're going to let you know what it feels like to play these games in VR. And if it's anything like Polybius, we already know it's going to be a trip.
Yeah, trippy.
All right. The second game we're going to give impressions on is actually something that's being manifested by the activity in Discord. A game that I didn't know existed 2 days ago. Someone asked about it in Discord. Who was it? Driven by?
Mm-hmm.
Did ask about this, Roots?
Yep. Yeah. And then we basically said we didn't know. You know?
Yeah. Driven by asked us about this game. I think Jarillo chimed in as well. Roots made an effort to reach out to the developer. The developer graciously gave us each a key and joined our Discord and made himself available to be asked anything. So it's a constant AMA via our Discord for this developer. So any of you out there who are curious about Dement, be sure to go down to our description below, click that invite link, join our Discord, and you can talk to the developer. He said he'd answer any kind of questions about Dement. So what is Dement? Well, currently, I don't know. I know it's a horror game, and that's all I need to know. It's a horror game. It's in VR. So, brother, I'll try your game out. Send it my way. I've already established on this channel, long since established, that I love anything VR horror, and that's what we've got here. So, immediately after producing this week's show. I'm going to dive headfirst into Dement. Roots has already spent some time in there, and we're going to come back tomorrow on the Monday show and report what we find. All right, and having our 2 games out of the way, that's going to bring us to our weekly Monday show topical discussion. And we're going to do a bit of a list this week. We're going to list some games that fit the criteria. Roots, what is the criteria?
So we decided we were, there's a lot of games you love to play. Asgard's Wrath, especially Asgard's Wrath, 40-hour games, amazing games, love them.
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4, yeah, like games you're going to spend a lot of time in, but you just can't spend that time directly in a row. Like you need something in between. You need palate cleansers, what we're calling them. 6 palate cleansers that will help you get through your day, get you back to your next Asgard's Wrath session, I guess, so to speak, right?
Yeah, we all have our epic games that we put forth maximum effort into, and it's a bit taxing either physically or on the mind or both. Games that we think about during the day when we're not playing, about how we're going to beat this part or move on to the next stage of it. Those were good examples like Asgard's Wrath and Fallout, these big open world games, but there's also puzzle games, games like Shadow Point or Abduction, things that are having us really, using our brains super hard. And when we're playing this stuff, every now and then you just want a break. You want a game that you can just put in and cleanse the palate. Something that you can play that's easy to pick up, something that has high replayability value, games that you can just basically chill out and play, that you don't have to put any kind of major thought into, something you can veg out on in between those heavier, more substantive games. So we're calling these VR palate cleansers. And Roots has 3, I have 3. We think it's a pretty interesting topic. Everybody has one. That's the reason it came up. Roots and I were talking, if you had to spend your life and you could only play 5 games forever, you had to pick 5 and that's all you get forever. Only 4 of those would be these epic, story-driven type games that we all want to spend so much time in. At the very least, one of those would have to be a palate cleanser. And those are the kind of games that we're going to be talking about during the topical discussion tomorrow on the Monday show. So, to recap, tomorrow on the Monday show, Minotaur Arcade Volume 1, Dement, and 6 VR palate cleansers. And that will wrap another episode of Virtual Strangers. We want to thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Subscribe. Click that notification bell to stay up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, we want to thank you again for watching, friends. For Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.